Hello, everybody, and welcome to a midnight book review on Beyond the Red Mountains by Greg Johnson. Now, I was fortunate enough to win this in a Goodreads contest back in, I think, February or March, and the author was kind enough to leave me a personal inscription and also left a reply to a comment I left on my reading progress on my Goodreads way back when I first picked this up. And I feel bad that I have now just finished it in September. I got into the book about halfway through, and then I got into a reading funk and did not get out of it till literally like 3 days ago when I finished Butterfly Pit Crew, which I reviewed earlier today. I will leave the link for that book review down below if you are interested in checking that out. But I finally have finished it, and I'm so glad I did because it is a really, really good story. Now, I have probably done about 6 takes of this video trying to give an accurate and non-spoilery synopsis of this story, but I am failing miserably. So what I have decided to do on this take is read you the back of the story and give you my general thoughts on the story. There is so much that goes on in this book, and we don't follow just one character's point of view, and I am horrible at trying to give a synopsis without spoilers, so I think this is the best way. So, this is what the back of the book reads. Calvin and Elizabeth grew up in different places, both taught that they were the only people to survive the dark days. But they start to question this when they begin to hear strange tales that suggest otherwise. When fate brings them together, it creates more questions than answers. Will Calvin get enough answers in time to help free his home from the evil man who rules it? He hopes that following his ancient map to the last resting place of the mysterious fourth founder of Triopolis will reveal the information he seeks. When an accident forces Elizabeth to flee with Calvin, they are set on a path that will lead him home. During their journey, they will discover an ancient race of people who have unbelievable powers over the natural world, and they learn how to fight off the evil that threatens their world. Now, this story was really, really good. I'm not sure if this was Greg Johnson's first novel, but if it was, it is really, really good. It did feel very similar to me because I have read a lot of fantasy books. One of my favorite books of all time is The Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind from the Sword of Truth series. I have not read very far into that series, but that book is one of my favorites of all time. And even though this book is not like very, very similar to the Sword of Truth, it does have similarities, and I didn't mind that. After getting out of a reading funk, it is very nice to kind of hit familiar territory with the story, so I did not mind that whatsoever. I did like the characters. I am a character reader. I have mentioned that in many of my book reviews, and I did care about the characters and what was happening with them. I loved the fact that this book immediately put you in the action and the thrills, and it just got to the point, and that was really, really exciting up until about halfway through. I really wish he would have spent some parts of the book more time with it. I wish there was more buildup and more suspense in these moments, because there are certain things that happen in this story where you just wish they weren't rushed. And I wish there was more of a suspense and that it wasn't just boom, 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 action, 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 action. I feel like I'm rambling, but it is midnight. But it really was. To begin a story like that was great. And I really, really enjoyed that for the first half of the book. But toward the end, there's so much that's happening. And there could have been so much more buildup and suspense. And I really, really wish there had been. It didn't make me hate the story at all. I really did enjoy it. But I just really wish there was more. The only other thing that really kind of bothered me and probably would bother a lot of like avid readers is the insta-love between Calvin and Elizabeth. Now, in the defense of the author, there is a reason why Elizabeth is instantly attracted to Calvin. But I do feel like the relationship between the two could have had more buildup. It didn't have to be so cliche. And this part of the book was where it kind of rushed, and it didn't need to, especially because this book ends on a cliffhanger. Thank you, Greg Johnson, for that. I am so mad at you right now. And it is set up for a sequel. So the fact that this could be like a duo or a trilogy or a quartet, I feel like if that's the case, he really could have spent more time on certain parts of the book. But overall, it was a really great fantasy story. It was a really great adventure story. And even though it had some familiar feels in the story, it was still really, really good. Now, there was one specific part of this story that really, really, really bothered me, and I believe it was just an editing mistake. And I have it written down because as I read, I keep a journal of things I want to talk about in these book reviews. And I'm going to read it to you now. Not that you shouldn't pick up this book, because like I said, it is a great book. But this is something that drove me freaking bonkers, okay? So let's see if I can find what I wrote here. So it says, big edit mistake on page 119. Henry and Kelvin, Henry is like Kelvin's best friend, say they didn't mention Triopolis to the priest, but they did on page 114. Sounds really minor, but when you're reading it, that's like a crucial part of the story because the priest happens to say something about Triopolis, and Henry and Kelvin look at each other and go, we didn't mention Triopolis to him. How does he know that? But they did. And I think it was just an editing mistake. And like I said, it's not a big deal. It should not make you not pick up this book, obviously. But it really was like kind of a crucial point of the story because the priest is supposed to know about Triopolis without actually having heard about it. And technically he did because it was mentioned. I digress. Not that big of a deal. I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads, mainly just for the fact that I really did feel like it was rushed. And because it was set up to have a sequel, I do feel like he didn't have to do that. But overall, the characters are really interesting. I love the fact that the story isn't told from one point of view. It's told by basically everybody's point of view in the story. And it's just a really, really good book. And I am excited to see if there is a sequel or if it becomes a trilogy or a quartet. I'm very, very excited for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book review. I definitely recommend this for people who love fantasy or adventure stories and are looking for something that's fast paced. So I will catch you guys in my next review.